Mzwandile Mbeje, who joins me now live in studio. Good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for coming through.
A very good afternoon to you, Bosasa.
So a different picture we've seen today, of course, of the state capture inquiry. Judge Raymond Zondo very much concerned with what Dennis Bloem had to say. Absolutely,
Bosasa. I remember Dennis Bloem was the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Correctional Services between 2004 and 2009. Remember, during that time, that's when Bosasa was awarded the contracts by Correctional Services. And then he was talking about a number of the tenders that were awarded to to Bosasa during that time. But perhaps what concerned Judge Zondo more was the catering contract. Basically, what Mr. Bloem said was that there was a catering contract that was awarded to Bosasa, but they did not do any work. So prisoners continued to cook for other prisoners. So which means this contract was basically a contract to give Bosasa money and that there was no work done. And then perhaps what touched Judge Zondo more was that Bloem said up until 2014, when he was still a member of parliament, it was happening. And in his belief, he thought it was still continuing. That's when the judge said, I mean, given that these people did not do any work for all those years, but they still are having this contract, what is happening to the taxpayers' money? So that is why he said, well, maybe the investigators of the commission must look at this issue. That is why he said, you know, if this thing is true, so maybe urgent steps needed to be taken. Basically, to make sure that you stop the contract really that has been awarded, but that is awarded, but
no services is provided.
Just money.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is corruption at a very large scale if it's true.
Yeah, and Dennis Bloem basically described the situation at the Department of Correctional Services under Mzwandile as chaotic.
You know what he was basically saying, I mean, as the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee, he says, so they did pick up that things were not going right at the correctional services. And of course, they have an oversight role. So they had an opportunity in some instances to go and visit all those places. And then he says what they found there was really bad. I mean, he says someone like Mzwandile, who was the National Commissioner for Correctional Services at the time, so was causing havoc. I think those are the words that he was using. Basically, I think what they were opposed to, Bosasa, was this outsourcing. They picked up that, you know, this thing of outsourcing services by correctional services was actually meant to benefit some people, not necessarily to render services. That is why the catering example is such a classic case.
All right. But in terms of evidence, Mzwai, the past witnesses that we've seen before the commission really had evidence to put on table to say this is what Bosasa did. From Mr. Bloem, do we have anything tangible that we can quote?
If what he said is true, that is absolutely rather damning allegations. I mean, just imagine this, Bosasa. You get given a contract, let's say of 200 million to render certain service, and then you don't do a single thing, but the money keeps coming. And then all those years, remember this thing started way back in 2004, and now it's 2019. I mean, you're getting, let's say, 300 million every year, yet you're not doing anything. If that is proven to be correct, that would be huge. That is why the commission was given an added responsibility to go and check the veracity of some of those claims and the statements by Dennis Bloem, because if it's true, it's very bad.
And I suppose this could implicate more people, because the judge even went as far as asking Mr. Bloem, what did you do as the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee? And then he went on to say, we reported some matters to the then Minister of Correctional Services, Bulelani Ngcuka, who said, let us just let them do their work.
Yes, I think you wanted to say Mzwandile. Yes. Basically, if the picture that is being painted by Dennis Bloem if you look at it in its totality, he is basically saying, so himself and a few others tried to do their work, but those who had the authority to actually stop some of the illegalities that were taking place did not do their work. That is why he said one-on-one, he had discussions with the minister then, Mzwandile Mbeje, to say things are not going right, and Mr. Mti is not doing a fantastic job, but he basically says, Mr. Balfour said, well, please leave that comrade. He is our comrade. He's an experienced comrade. He will handle things. So you are right. So if it does appear that there is a number of people that were implicated, perhaps just to add quickly, I mean, he even shared it here, Mr. Dennis Bloem. So at some point they appointed, when Linda Mti left, they appointed Vinnie Peterson to be the commissioner. But because he was seen as a corruption buster, so he couldn't last. So he was shifted to sport. And then, unfortunately, he is late now. And he made a plea to the commission to say, please investigate his mysterious death. Because this was someone who had been brought into the correctional services to fight corruption but he was moved, and then after being moved, and then he's no more.
All right, so Dennis Bloem concluded his testimony today. What's next?
We expect other witnesses from Tuesday, and then I think there are more, will still be more in the circles of Bosasa, corroborating or making further statements, perhaps to complete the picture that was started by Angelo Akrize.
All right, Mzwandile, thank you so much for coming through, and many thanks for that update.
You're welcome.
All right. Our SABC senior reporter Mzwandile Mbeje, who's been keeping a very close eye on the state capture inquiry, of course, as he said, the commission adjourned this afternoon, and they'll be back on Tuesday morning, and we'll see who will take the stand there.